Kathleen Lynch to respond to her last debate of conference.
I don't know whether that clap now, what that's about. Could I just say that I agree in relation to 140. St. Pat's was always an inappropriate place to send children, because that's what they were at that point, for detention. And thankfully that's been done away with, and Obertstown is now going to be the new model, and Obertstown can be a good model because Obertstown has all that is necessary and will meet all of our obligations in relation to children, education, and indeed the type of psychological services that they need as well, and the type of reintegration that they need. So I'm not a great fan myself of imprisoning people, and I know that the new legislation in terms of fines and debts will in fact alleviate the type of overcrowding that we've seen in the past, and I hope that type of progress can be continued, and I would be very much in support of that. In relation to 141, which is about the CAMS service, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. Could I just say once again, and I think I covered it briefly in relation yesterday in the mental health debate, because I don't think you can separate the two. I think the two services are different, but they can't be separated. We managed, in a time of enormous cutbacks, we managed to get 35 million ring-fenced this year for mental health services, community mental health services, which is exactly what CAMS is. We managed to do that with the help of Brendan Howlin, and that was no mean feat. That was an enormous struggle. We managed to breach the moratorium and get 414 posts, again, for the community mental health teams. And in doing that, I would have to congratulate the people who have worked in CAMS. People like Brendan Doody, who tells me that he can tell at a glance exactly how many children are on the waiting list, where they're being treated, what they're being treated for, what the length of the treatment is, and what is the progress into the future. That type of information is invaluable in relation to planning, and it's the type of information that we have in CAMS after 15 years that we don't have in the adult mental health services after generations. And we're only beginning to gather that information now. And it's the information that will ensure that we can plan for the future. I met Barry Desmond last night, and I told him that the morning I was told that I was going to be promoted and made a junior minister, and that mental health was going to be one of my briefs. That a vision for change is the programme we have in relation to mental health. But on the shelf in my bedroom, I still have planning for the future, which is what Barry Desmond produced in 1984, and it's not that different. So, you know, once you have the information, you can plan. Jigsaw, Headstrong, all of that is what it's about. The drop-in places where young people who have a difficulty with their emotional problems, because that's what it is at that level, that they can drop in, that there is no stigma, that they're available to them. But when we talk about schools, and mental health and emotional well-being, it has to be a whole-of-school approach. It can't be the one go-to person. It must be everyone within the education system that will recognise that a child has a difficulty. This business of, oh, I think Johnny has a bit of trouble today, we'll send him to Mrs. Murphy. That doesn't work, because the rest of the class know he's going to Mrs. Murphy. It has to be a whole-of-school approach, and it has to be built into our training of teachers that says to them that you have a responsibility here in this classroom, not just for the educational needs of these children, but for their emotional well-being as well. And I think we can do that. So these motions are very important, and these motions are very well thought out. And these motions are things that the Labour Party and government are working on, and that we are making progress on as well. Thank you.